Avatar: The Way of Water has become one of the year's highest-grossing movies. From the Metkayina tribe to Jake's children to the ocean landscape itself, the movie is honestly a treat to watch. But Cameron has more sequels up his sleeve, and he shared how the new characters in the latest sequel have paved the way for it to happen. Stay tuned as we discuss that and more. First up, how Avatar: The Way of Water's new characters set up sequel movies. Producer Jon Landau describes how the new characters in Avatar: The Way of Water set up the future sequels. Aside from introducing new characters that portray the water-dwelling Na'vi clan, the Metkayina, Avatar: The Way of Water introduces the 5 biological and adopted children of Jake and Neytiri: Netiyam, Lo'ak, Kiri, Spider, and Tuktiri. Landau has spoken publicly on the franchise's future after Avatar: The Way of Water, saying that Avatar 4 has a great script, among other films in the franchise. He has also gone back and forth on whether or not the upcoming Avatar sequel will include sequences on Earth and the lands of Pandora. Landau talked about the Avatar sequels again, this time to EW, about how the new characters in Avatar: The Way of Water set the tone for the next movies. The producer says that the next generation of Sullys will still be in the sequels of Avatar. Apparently, the sequel will follow these children as they continue to play these characters as adults. According to John's original statement, he said that it's an entire family tree of Sullys that the next sequel can build on, and he hopes that everyone will enjoy following the careers of the young actors Britton Dalton and Jack Champion, as well as Bailey Bass, Trinity, and Jamie Flatters, as they develop and mature in their roles. Followed by why Jake and Neytiri's kids are the best part of Avatar: The Way of Water. The good news for the future of the franchise is that Landau and the Avatar creative team intend to continue with the Sully kids storylines. The children of Jake and Neytiri are possibly the best part of Avatar because they add a layer of emotional depth to the narrative that was missing in the original Avatar film. Every child has their own unique character arc, and Spider is no exception. He faces challenges fitting in as a human kid among the Na'vi, while also being enticed by allegiance to his bloodline. Other than Spider, Kiri, daughter of the late Grace Augustine, is picked on by the other Na'vi for having human-like features, such as having 5 fingers on each hand. But like her mother, she's incredibly curious and has a deep connection with the Na'vi nature god, Eywa. Having Jake and Neytiri's children around further changes the dynamics of the group, besides the internal conflicts the adults face. Instead of simply being a Na'vi and a human who has been transformed into a Na'vi because of love, Jake and Neytiri are now a mother and father who must protect their children. Because of this, the film is more than just a fantasy story advocating for forest preservation. It's, at its heart, a family story, which adds a layer of depth to the experience. It'll truly be amazing and heartwarming to watch how the family faces every challenge that's thrown their way together and hopefully comes out triumphant. Next up, how the Sully kids can grow in Avatar 3 and beyond. The problem with focusing on kids is that by the time Avatar 5 is released in 2028, the young actors playing them will have grown up. In turn, Landau makes it clear that we'll see the Sully children grow up in the Avatar sequels, and so the Avatar universe has already established that there'll be time jumps between the installments. Consequently, it's probable that the Avatar crew will be able to explain the natural progression of the main characters' ages without any jarring continuity issues. As they age, there is room for the Sully children to grow physically, emotionally, and morally. Because Tuck's the youngest and least developed character in Avatar: The Way of Water, Cameron, Landau, and the rest of the creative team seem to have endless chances to look at how she grows. Another mystery presented by Avatar: The Way of Water is how exactly the major spiritual elements of Pandora affected Sigourney Weaver's adolescent character, Kiri. If Landau keeps his promise that the sequels will follow the Sully family as they grow, they'll have the chance to explain more about Kiri's place in the Pandora mythology. It'll be amazing to watch these kids grow up and see how their personalities change. After that, Kiri is Avatar's biggest mystery. The circumstances of Kiri's birth is an important mystery in Avatar: The Way of Water. Since Kiri's mother Grace died in childbirth, Jake Sully and Neytiri raise her as their own in the sequel. Grace's pregnancy wasn't hinted at in the first Avatar film, and the healing ceremony to permanently transfer her human consciousness into her Na'vi body failed. In the sequel, Kiri's visions show that the humans who stayed on Pandora never stopped hoping that Grace could be saved. A few other research team members suspended her body in a laboratory where she gave birth to Kiri. Throughout the Avatar sequel, Kiri hears a mysterious heartbeat that no one else can. This is in addition to her visions of her mother. Initially, it was thought that the sound was Grace's heartbeat, but a closer look at the relationship between Grace and Kiri reveals information about Kiri's biological father. Grace was a devoted xenobotanist who had a deep appreciation for the goddess Eywa and the flora of Pandora. Like her dying mother, Kiri can speak with nature and Eywa. When Grace passed away, Eywa made a sound at the Tree of Souls that resembled this heartbeat. The fact that Grace had a special connection to Eywa, along with Kiri's miraculous birth and her supernatural ability to interact with the plants and animals of Pandora, suggests that the goddess may be Kiri's father. The storyline, the mysteries, and the CGI have all made this an epic movie to watch, and no wonder it achieved great profits only on its first day. Followed by Avatar: The Way of Water opened, making $300 million internationally. Big Jim Cameron stated that Avatar: The Way of Water would need to gross $2 billion for it to be a financial success. The film has made a little under a quarter of its total budget after its debut weekend. Even though it only made about $134 million in its first weekend, Avatar 2 was still more successful than Top Gun: Maverick's debut in the United States. During its first weekend, the movie made a total of $435 million, which includes $301 million from international markets. It's been a great year at the box office in 2022, with a select few films generating massive audiences and making up for the year's share of flops. The one-week limited release of Glass Onion nonetheless managed to gross $15 million, but there were also bombs like Strange World and flops like Black Adam. The success of Avatar: The Way of Water will be closely watched to see if the movies are truly back, or if Nicole Kidman's AMC ad was for naught. Most importantly, the success of Avatar 2 will determine whether or not we ever get to see the seed bearer and his big seed. Cameron stated that in order for the film to break even, it'd need to be the third or fourth highest grossing film of all time. If this doesn't happen, Cameron's other movie ideas for this universe and these characters may never be made. Moving on to fans' reactions to Avatar: The Way of Water. James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water has won praise from movie critics and fans alike. Aside from getting high marks from critics, audiences have praised the sequel for its technical brilliance. One person tweeted that they saw Avatar: The Way of Water and that, as usual, James Cameron outdid himself, and that it was well worth the 13-year wait and every penny spent. Another said that they expected it to be a visual spectacle, but didn't expect it to be so emotionally resonant. Its nuanced characters, rich world building, and the fulfilling story made it far better than its predecessor. Good word of mouth for Avatar 2 is likely, thanks to the film's generally positive reception. This will provide the film with the staying power it needs to continue to dominate the box office for the rest of the year. The critical and popular reception of The Way of Water was mixed. The length of the film was criticized, and some viewers claimed they were bored. A fan on Twitter wrote that it was a technically brilliant movie and pleasant to the eyes, but because of its lengthy runtime and lack of twists and surprises, it actually turned out to be an average one. Finally, James Cameron on the fine line of celebrating culture without appropriating in Avatar: The Way of Water. James Cameron's Avatar films, including the recently released sequel Avatar: The Way of Water, features a mythical race of people known as the Na'vi, but the filmmaker found inspiration in actual indigenous cultures. The director acknowledged that there was a thin line to walk on when creating a new race of Na'vi for Avatar 2, which he said was challenging since he wanted to honor indigenous peoples without copying their culture. In the story The Way of Water, protagonist Jake Sully and his family go to the eastern seaboard of Pandora, where the Metcaina Reef clan lives. The Metcaina are a sea people, a distinct cultural group with noticeable physical characteristics different from the forest people. Cameron explained the precise cultural inspirations and considerations surrounding appropriation that went into the design of the many Na'vi clans. He said that many conversations were held on the topic of cultural appropriation. When does it become excessive? When does recognizing and appreciating a culture turn into actively taking from it for your own benefit? And so they tried to find a balance by respecting the native Polynesian cultures of Hawaii, Tahiti, French Polynesia, the Maori, the Samoans, and so on. They also gave it their spin by having artists create unique tattoos and clothing designs. That's a wrap for this video. What are your thoughts on the upcoming sequels that Cameron has planned? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.